So, can your employer actually ban you from work if you refuse to get a COVID vaccine? Let's talk about it. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to Law-Splaining the Interwebs. I'm your host, Nick Rekieta of Rekieta Law, a small law firm in central Minnesota. And we're talking today about whether or not your employer can ban you from the workplace if you refuse to get vaccinated against COVID. And I have a very unfortunate answer for many of you. The answer to that is yes. Yes, they can. In fact, employers have broad leeway in most states to go ahead and have all sorts of requirements for you to maintain your job and maintain your presence in the workplace, especially if they can tangibly link it to public safety and not to some facial level of discrimination like race, sexual orientation, gender, stuff like that. That, of course, those are off limits sort of qualifications, but behaviorally, there are lots of sort of restrictions and impositions that an employer can put on you. And of course, you are free to not follow them. And in, again, a majority of states, they are free to not employ you or to not allow you access to the workplace based on your refusal to follow those guidelines. So here's a quick article we've got about it from CBS News. This headline is provoking people to, well, send me questions about it and, of course, comment on whether or not this is actually true. But the headline is employers can bar unvaccinated employees from the workplace. The EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Center or whatever, says. So the equal employment people say yes. Yes, they can bar you from that. Commission. I said center. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. With the first doses of Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine now being administered in the U.S., federal government is giving employers around the country the green light to require immunization for most workers. In general, companies have the legal right to mandate that employees get a COVID-19 shot. The Equal Employment Opportunity Commission said Wednesday. More specifically, employers are entitled and required to ensure a safe workplace in which an individual shall not pose a direct threat to the health or safety of individuals in the workplace. That can mean a company requiring its workforce to be vaccinated. The Americans with Disability Act limits an employer's ability to require workers to get a medical examination, but the EEOC's latest guidance clarifies that getting vaccinated does not constitute a medical exam. As a result, ordering employees to get a COVID-19 shot would not violate the Americans with Disabilities Act. Not all employees must get vaccinated according to the agency. Employees with either a disability or sincerely held religious beliefs that prevent them from getting inoculated are exempt, according to the EEOC, which is charged with enforcing laws against workplace discrimination. Now, what is, love the ding there, what is a sincerely held religious belief? It is not actually I sincerely hold this religious belief. It typically involves you demonstrating that you belong to a denomination, that you have for some significant amount of time, that you're involved in that denomination, and that denomination largely holds that belief as well. It's not as simple as saying, well, I don't believe in vaccinations because you have to have some level of demonstration. Now, the government, their ability to test that, of course, is somewhat truncated, but they do have kind of a broad leeway on this. It's not simply me saying, I have a religious belief that says no vaccinations. They're like, yeah, but you're Catholic, though, and Catholics don't have a thing against vaccinations. But I do. It's not that easy. You tend to have some demonstration for it to be exempt from these rules. So if they do require it, an employee can make a request for an accommodation under the Americans with Disabilities Act or Title VII. And if they do request the accommodation, the employer has an obligation to see if accommodation is possible, said Helen Rella, a workplace attorney at Wilk Oslander, a New York law firm. Cases like these, an employer must attempt to make a reasonable accommodation for the worker, like allowing them to work from home. For example, if that's not possible, however, and unvaccinated individuals pose a potential threat to either themselves or to others, a company has the right under employment law to exclude them from physically entering the workplace. That doesn't mean an employer can summarily fire a worker who declines to be vaccinated. They could be eligible for unpaid leave or other similar entitlements under federal, state, and local laws, according to the EEOC. At some point, if they are on job protected unpaid leave, that might rise to the level of undue hardship, but it would be on a case-by-case basis, said Sharon Masling, a workplace attorney at Morgan Lewis in Washington, D.C., and former chief of staff to an EEOC commissioner. But the agency's guidance does mean that if a worker's job can't be done remotely and there's no reasonable way to accommodate the person's wish not to be vaccinated, then the employer can terminate their employment. The logical conclusion is that if no possible accommodation can be made and the employee's job requires that they be in the physical workplace and they pose a direct threat to the safety of the workplace or others, then yes, they could be terminated, Rella said. Now, interestingly, of course, this type of guidance cuts directly, most directly, to blue-collar workers who tend to have to be present physically at their jobs. It really hits retail and low-income positions as well, such as fast food. And while many people may think that the vaccine should be required for those types of people who have high public exposure, I mean, that is a topic of debate. And we have long-standing principles of liberty that kind of say otherwise. Now, in this case, though, we're talking about private employment in a private workplace and a company having a duty of care to its employers and in some respects a duty of care to its customers. And that goes beyond sort of the individual interpersonal sort of lack of duty that we have towards each other. Those are different questions, and this sort of guidance reflects that. So again, the short answer to this question, can your employer prevent you from coming to the workplace or even potentially fire you for not getting a vaccine? The answer is yes. Yes, they can in almost every state. The times that they're not able to would actually be limited and would be case-by-case specific. There, of course, could be other ways. You can't use this as a pretext for firing people like, well, we determined all people of a given race don't like vaccines, so we're going to just fire all of them. Of course, that's absurd, and that would not work. And if there were several people of multiple races that were not getting vaccinated, but only certain races that were getting barred from employment or terminated ultimately, that would give rise to a claim as well. It can't be used as a pretext, but so long as the policies are administered neutrally, as far as like protected class statuses, race, religion, sexual orientation, stuff like that, as long as they're administered neutrally, yeah, you can require people to get vaccinated to show up at the workplace. So I hope that helps answer your question. I know this has been kind of a burning question on people's minds, but this is the answer to that. It comes directly from the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and it is as good as law gets on this subject. Of course, lawyers have a way to muddy everything up, and certainly if a company is wantonly firing people because they refuse to get vaccinated, at some point there will probably be a case, and we'll see this tested in the courts. But I think it's actually very much going to favor employers, not employees, in those questions. All right, I hope you learned something from this video. If you did, like, subscribe, share, support your content creators as much as possible. I, of course, love the support, but I'm not just talking about me. Support all the shows you like, and make sure you share it so that other people find the stuff that you like and they can like it too. All right, guys, thanks a bunch. Hope to see you soon. Have a good day. Peace. Peace.